Let's just take a quick look at the circuit diagram relating to the front impact sensors. So here on the right, I've added some comments to the original PDF, and I've actually put on front impact sensor, but it's actually referred to in the manual as the electronic frontal sensor, EFS-LF, which is for the left front, and then there's one below, -RF for the right front. The document also calls the left front sensor 1 and the right front sensor 2. The DTC, that's the Diagnostic Trouble Code that you will get for a front impact sensor on the left hand side will be DTC B0100, and for the right side it will be DTC B0103. Now these two sensors wire to these two signal inputs, pin 5 and 6, on the inflatable restraint sensor and diagnostic module, which is underneath the driver's seat. Those cables actually make their way back to the inflatable restraint module. There are two low references and two signals which match up with those two sensors. So it's very simple wiring really. There's not an awful lot going on between those two. The Hummer's developed the dreaded service airbag, and I've got the symbol on the dash down here. It comes and goes. I'm not sure if that's just cycling of the fault in the software, whether or not it goes off and then comes back and it keeps testing. I'm not exactly sure about that. Anyway, I have the Tech 2 on there and we're going to take a little look. To look at the diagnostics for the airbag circuit, you go to Diagnostics Body and we go down to Supplementary Inflatable Restraint. We'll have a look in there and we'll look at the Diagnostic Trouble Codes, get the DTC information, current codes, and now we have Electronic Front End Sensor 2 Performance. So it's B0103. To make life easier, I've installed a switch on my terminal post so I can actually disconnect, and I prefer to actually take the screw out because then I know that I am disconnected. To remove the engine guard, there's 9 bolts, so we're going to take those off. A lot of people use a jack to support the weight. I find I don't need to, so I'm just going to take this off. So I've removed the engine guard and now we're left with tracing the wiring for the impact sensors. You can clearly see the right hand side impact sensor and also the left hand side impact sensor. To release the IP connector, you just pull on the tab, get a screwdriver and just press in on the bottom tab, and then it should just unplug just like that. As far as I can see, the wires look fine. It's never been off before, it's never been removed before, so I have no reason to suspect there's anything wrong with the wiring. Fortunately, the bolt did come out. I could see the thread. It's a little bit corroded, but I guess that's to be expected after all of these years. So I have the sensor, which is here with the bolt up in the middle, and this is what I was really after, was the part number off the side, because trying to find the equivalent impact sensor was a little bit trickier than I anticipated. So can I see any cracks in the casing? I may do, but we'll get this on the bench and we'll have a look at it. Here is the front impact sensor. This is the part number I was after. It's 151035331. If we have a look around the casing, I suspect that something has made that leak. I believe there's electronics inside. I may give you a description of what the system is supposedly doing. So I can actually feel some water coming out of here. There's water actually inside the sensor. Look, you can see it's just come out. So water ingress has affected the performance of the sensor. This is the old impact sensor. I'm going to dismantle this and see if we can discover how it operates. I've managed to cut apart the impact sensor, and in doing so I found out a couple of things which I think are quite interesting. There's a PCB inside here which actually is a smart electronic system. So that is tagged on to two pins which come out through this connector here. The bolt that secures it screws in through the casing this way, and that goes through this tapped insert. Right, that must be bonded in at some stage or glued in or something. There's a hole that goes through, and there's about a 5mm part of the thread at the other side. But if you examine the tapped insert goes, I noticed there was a bulge in here. Now you can just see that little bright blue. That is actually corrosion. And what has happened? This hole was completely corroded, filled with probably some kind of aluminium oxide or something like that that's corroded away inside, and has eventually put so much pressure on that it's split this casing, and that's where the water was getting in. This was so well assembled, very difficult to cut apart. It took quite a bit of effort, but I think the water ingress was getting in through here. This is the way that it mounts inside the vehicle, with that screw going through the bottom, coming up through the top, and you've got two dissimilar metals here. So a steel screw and an aluminium insert. It mounts in the body like that. It actually sits in, if the vehicle is traveling this way, then it's mounted on here. This part locates into the bodywork, but then you've got this gap around this screw, this tapped insert. Water must get in there. You've got dissimilar metals, you get some electrolysis, you get corrosion building up, and eventually the middle part of this splits, then water gets in, and then once water's got in, despite the fact that they've coated this PCB with some kind of gel to try and protect it, it just gets in there and shorts something out. And there's nothing really you can do about that. You can't really take it apart, you can't get to the internals anyway. The little holes in the back that look like screw holes do nothing to actually get you in there. I mean, I drilled them away, but it doesn't actually get you inside. I think this little PCB is somehow bonded to this part. These little wires solder onto these two pins, and that's all of the connections that there are. The ultimate demise of this impact sensor is water getting in through this cavity here. Now the way around it would be to fill that cavity with something else to try and stop the water getting in there, you know, like a rubber sleeve or some. But even that, you know, it's just a part of the design. Anyway, that's why that failed. This is my new impact sensor, which is 10370-148, which came in today. This is what we get. We've got a new sensor with a new bolt, and it looks very much like the old one. And if you look at that, there is actually a considerable gap in the casing, which is obviously part of the casing. But these two little prongs here are the locating pegs, which make sure that you put it in the right direction, and when it sits in the vehicle, this will be the front of the vehicle on this side, and so that's how it's mounted. My new impact sensor has arrived, so I'm going to fit that, and this time I think I can maybe able to do this without actually removing the engine guard, so I'm going to give it a go. We can see the impact sensor from this is the right hand one for me. I guess the left hand one will be the same, and I believe I can just get my arm in onto that screw, and I think I should be able to undo the connector at the same time, so I'm going to give that a try. I can confirm it is possible to put your sensor in without taking the sump guard off. The new sensor's in. and I'm just doing some diagnostics. No current diagnostic code. If we look at the history, so I'll just reset that code, so that should be cleared. We'll just check the diagnostic trouble codes. So checking the DTC history, I now have no code set, so I can see if we detect a new one.
Thank you for watching this video. Please give it a thumbs up, share and subscribe. Oh, and don't forget the alert bell.